Real talk. Comments is one of the most hilarious things in the world.
You niggas commit a lot of crimes and you know it.
Y'all do a silly clown dance for us.
You are single mothers and you know it.
Are
Stop
tight.
Okay,
You went and parked your car in the hood and I keep that door unlocked.
Y'all do a silly clown dance for us.
Because you know a nigga will take the damn car.
I'm not gonna put you in a locker.
Because it really showcases a woman's true nature. I think that the internet is beautiful. And the reason that the internet is beautiful is because it actually showcases and exposes the nature of who people really are.
He's making something, he's playing that Sambo role threat, and everybody want to see Sambo dance.
Y'all do a silly clown dance for us.
You want to know what's really wrong with the black community? Is that the woman is out of her purpose and she's not a helpmeet no more. She's the enemy.
Stop capping.
I'll give you an example.
Y'all do a silly clown dance for us.
Whenever you hold women accountable or whenever you say something that may go against the public perception or the traditional norms and you actually tell the truth and you call people out for what they are.
Stop capping.
And this has been happening since the beginning of time, at least.
He's making something, he's playing that Sambo role.
She's more of an enemy than the white man ever has.
Stop capping.
He's making something, he's playing that Sambo role threat, and everybody want to see Sambo dance.
We had to build the plane while we were trying to fly it at the same time.
Stop capping.
But a lot of people look at the successes or they look at what they think.
He's making something, he's playing that Sambo role.
She's more of an enemy than the white man ever has.
Stop capping.
She's more of an enemy than anybody in history has ever been to the black community.
Stop capping.
Because she's the very person that comes in with deceit.
Stop capping.
Y'all do a silly clown dance for us.
Looks to use you and then disperse of you when she's done with you.
We need to start advocating for men who want to be with men.
Really, nigga?
And then she'll move on when it's all said and done, and then say, well, what about the kids? Fuck them kids and fuck that woman too.
We need to start advocating for men who want to be with men.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I will say, across the board, black women are the lowest.
What? What's going on?
What?
Stop capping.
We need to start advocating for men who want to be with men.
Playing that Sambo role.
She's more of an enemy than the white man ever has.
Stop capping.
Throw that hoe out with the bathwater. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. Start the fuck over. Get a whole new group of women, and then fix the community that way.
What? What's going on?
We need to start advocating for men who want to be with men.
Y'all are going to jail.
I understand the impulse, brothers. I do. But our women are not showing us.
Mainly, how about you pay for our trip and we smash? Excuse me?
I don't care what they say. What are the women showing?
So I get smashed and you make money and you get a trip? Come on now. You guys have no respect for me, no respect for yourself, actually.
He's making something, he's playing that Sambo role threat, and everybody want to see Sambo dance.
And the pot calls the kettle black, calls the kettle burnt, calls her mad. Kettle reminds the pot that we both been burned on the same stove, that the parts of our bodies that are layered in soot were scorched by the same hands. Kettle tells pot that she still boils water, holds the hot breath of a white man's tongue, endures the slow simmer of a white woman's allyship, and still, we make something beautiful. Pot calls the kettle wicked, and kettle says no, but says she's so magical she burned the hand of the last man who tried to pour himself a piece of her. Says she's so black she is everything, so black she is the beginning. She is the first thing someone finds home in when they wake up in the morning. Says ain't that what it means to be black? To have the world go up in flames around you and still be sanctuary for someone, saving men who lost themselves the night before, saving men who curse our names but forget his mama is made of steel too. And now the pot has no words but calls the kettle bitter, but loves the glass pan, the fine china, loves all the exotic shit white men put behind glass casings, loves how fragile things not made of steel can be. But this isn't about the pot or the pan. This is about the kettle, the black woman, how she pours herself across the earth, but no one bats an eye when the water disappears. We give ourselves to men who never love us, but they say we are difficult, too hard to break. How we, the kettle, praise this pot, this man for all the water he holds. How we are the only ones who do not call him monster when the water boils over, because we know this heat, this white flame, hot enough to make any of us explode. We are the first ones to make noise when the world goes up in flames, but they say the earth was saved by the man who heard her scream. Pot calls the kettle black, and kettle says yes, but says you best remember you black too. The next time they bring a fire to your neck, they burn black bodies on the stake and the stove. Pot calls the kettle black, and kettle says bitch I might be, says nuck if you buck, then says wipe me down. Kettle says yes my nigga, I be black, I be mad, and I boiled the last man down to his bones when he tried to test me. Pot calls the kettle black, and kettle says hell yes, but don't say my name as if you ain't ever been burnt too.
Welcome to the stage, Angelina. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm doing well myself. Everybody in the chat, if you can hear us okay, put a 1 in the chat. We're going to get this party started. Wait a second. We're going to dabble around a little bit with some quick news that I just found out, because today we were informed that Halle Bailey, the woman who played, the mermaid in the very successful movie from Disney, we thought it was a fact, but there were rumors that she got married. But then I found this at the last minute of hitting the go button on our production. I found this video here.
Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on, party people? Now, let me tell y'all, I know y'all been seeing a lot of headlines that Halle Bailey just got married to DDG. It was secretly married. I'm looking right here at rumor has it, but rumor has it and the rest of them, I think they got it wrong. So the reason why I say that, because when I do some more digging, and it is clearly that Halle Bailey is pregnant. I will give her that. Look at these pictures from B with the T. Look at her. She looks very pregnant. Okay. However, I don't think she wants to reveal to the world she's pregnant just yet. Now, this is what a lot of reports are talking about. If you guys can see on the screen, it says reports of Halle Bailey alleged pregnancy and marriage to DDG was pulled from a quote by a whole different woman. This is the woman that the quote was pulled from in an interview with Glamour magazine. So people are switching it and twisting it around. And the quote that Halle Bailey did not say, but this other woman said was this: being a mom, being newly married, there's the positive side of it, but also the negative. I want to show that although things might look perfect from the outside, that's not always the case. So this is not a quote from Halle Bailey. She is not saying this. This is in fact is by another woman from Glamour magazine. So yes, honey, a lot of people are running with that and just telling all these lies. That's why you gotta check fact. But I still feel like she's still pregnant, boo. May not be married, okay? Might not be secretly married, but pregnancy it is. So I just want to let you guys know it's a lot of fake news going on. So we here to be messy. So I gotta let you guys know we will be going live today and every day, and it's gonna call The Messy Show. And this time we're not playing no sides. We're just gonna give it to you. All right. I will see you.
All right. So anyway, basically, simply put, I didn't see anything else about her being married. So that was kind of weird that coming up like that. But let's get into the show. I'm going to start off with this Kevin Samuels video here.
Mostly every woman I meet thinks there's a prize. They think they're queens. They think they're. You watch my show, and how many women sit here on this program day in, day out, tell you they deserve a man of value. And ain't but 10% of these men available. But 100% of women say they want them. All right. And I'm talking about a man in that category, a top 20.
Let me pause it right there. And this is one question I have. Angelina, is the scarcity ploy, would you say that's a part of the negging theory? Is this what basically using a scarcity narrative overall, not necessarily that a man's going to go on a date and neg a woman by saying, hey, there's not that many of us, but somebody in general putting it out there. Would you see this as a form of global negging?
Well, yeah, it's just a way of basically saying you better just get me now. It's a manipulation.
Yeah, it's very weird. I know there's the conventional negging where it's one-on-one, where a man runs his game, or his, as they call it in the science, a pickup artist narrative on their target, because they don't see women as real human beings. They call them targets. And there's that ploy where they want to knock the young lady down or the woman down a few notches to make them feel like, the man to make the man seem like he's the prize.
Yeah. That's what they're doing. That's exactly it.
So it seems like, to me, why, and I think it's why a lot of men loved Kevin Samuels, is because he was literally doing their work for them.
Yeah. Mass influence, telling women that they are not the prize, but the men are, because they are, there's more of them. I mean, yeah,
Very true. I mean, yeah, everybody knows there's that other narrative, which to me, I don't think it matters at all, which is, well, there's, 2 million more of you women, black women, i.e. black women, or women in general, when you think about it, then there are more women than men. So you have to choose, my overweight, out of shape, unstable self before it's too late.
Because before you die with cats alone, basically, is what they're saying, because there's scarcity. I mean, like you said, a man's going to use it on a one-to-one basis to make themselves surprised, and all Kevin Samuels has done is introduced it to the group and made that his main philosophy. Exactly. Or one of them.
20%, 15%, 10% man. Why do you, let's flip it. Let's put you as a top 10% woman, right? Even better, let's put you as a top 1% woman. Why should you why should you get less? Why should Rihanna be dating a taxi cab driver? But see, y'all understand it when it's that way. And what's more likely gonna happen? The older
you get, he's also using triangulation here as well.
Yeah, it seems like he is, huh? I mean,
he's also using triangulation, but he's comparing normal women with, celebrity women. So that in itself is going to put them down. He's given them a value based on what he thinks is the value, right? So therefore, they're not determining their own value. He's setting it. And B, he's then comparing them to women like Rihanna. That's ridiculous. Why are we talking about Rihanna? Rihanna's not in the everyday world with normal people. The man that he's talking about isn't going to be dating Rihanna, so I don't understand how she got into the equation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like he's comparing normal women to this very, very high standard of not even going to say high standard of woman or high standard of achieving women, right? That the men that he is encouraging and he is speaking for are never going to get anyway. So I don't understand how she got into the conversation.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
It's another way of making women feel like, oh my gosh, you're right. I've got to lower my number. I've got to lower my value because, you know, Rihanna's a 10. Rihanna's not in the equation.
Exactly.
You know, so it's just another way of dumbing down the everyday woman and making her feel like, well, I did think I was a 7, but if Rihanna's a 10, then I guess I'm a 4. It's nonsense.
Exactly. Well said.
Money or less? More on the credit, more on the sexual marketplace credit card or less?
And see, that's the funny thing that I find is, where did this sexual marketplace come in? I mean, to me, it's giving away their ideology, because you're supposed to choose a partner because of compatibility, not because they have a high sexual marketplace value. It seems like it dehumanizes the person and then demoralizes a person. I don't get it.
Absolutely. It's a case of your personal value, your personal personality, your personal qualities don't matter. It's basically what's the word? Just eradicating that from the process of selection, therefore making you like everyone else. So then you're not unique, but then everybody is unique. You see what I mean? But
Yes,
he's saying they're not. Everybody's the same as everybody else. And now basically encouraging women to compete now because their personal qualities, their personal personality, anything that they bring to the table personally doesn't matter, is what he's saying. It doesn't matter. There's so many of you, you're all the same. So you better compete for us because nobody's looking at your personal qualities.
Right.
And anything that you personally bring to the table is irrelevant. You're replaceable. It's a very narcissistic view to take, because with a narcissist, you are replaceable 110%, because they do not take into account any of those individual qualities that you have. In fact, it is narcissistic. That is what it is. That is what he's done. He's just made it mass. He's just made that narcissistic approach a mass conversation and encouraged other men who are not narcissists to take it on board, or maybe are narcissists, who knows, you know what I mean? Or highly narcissistic to take it on board. And men with low self-esteem who are using it to prop that up are also taking this narcissistic view on board. It doesn't matter who the woman is, what she can offer, how she is as a person. It doesn't matter, because you're replaceable. Thus, bringing the value of a woman down once again.
All right. I'm going to skip over Kevin Samuel's second video because I think you nailed it. Would you mind if we played the Love is Blind Series 5 finale? The red flags, I think, would be important to notify our listeners on what to look for in a relationship as it pertains to where a person is being disrespected, where a young lady is being disrespected, targeted, or given signs that they should catch to avoid a bad situation.
Yeah, go for it. I don't mind. I'm glad to get the warning, though, or else I would be totally thrown. You know how I get. What's going on?
Oh, hey, we're all about surprises up in here.
Let's talk about the Love is Blind finale red flags. And once again, the majority of the red flags are coming from Izzy, because honestly, this guy is just getting worse and worse. There's nothing I can do about it, but let's get into it. For those of you who don't know, the finale is when the couples decide whether they're going to get married or not at the altar. So first, we're going to talk about Stacey and Izzy. The first red flag that I saw was communication issues due to Izzy's shifting of the narrative and blame shifting. As Stacey explains to her mother the conversation she had with Izzy about his bad credit, she points out that he shifted the narrative from him lying to it being about money. Check it out.
The most anxiety driving part is like feeling like I didn't get all of the information that I should have gotten when it was already brought up several times, made me doubt him. It's not about the credit card. It's about being totally transparent in a time where transparency is absolutely needed. And it's that half glass empty versus half glass full where he's like, but if I wanted to lie to you, I never would have told you. I'm like, if you wanted to be honest with me, you would have told me sooner. And when I try to explain that to him, he's like, you're all about money. And I'm like, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about honesty, trust.
Toxic narcissists and abusers often ignore the very obvious point of an issue and try to make it in some way about something else. And if they can do it in a way that makes you look bad or wrong, even better. They do this to avoid accountability for the wrong that they do and also confuse you in the process. The next red flag is
Exactly.
cognitive
With that
dissonance.
guy, like, what was difficult about what she said about it being about trust? He omitted information. I don't understand how he's not getting that. It's like, are we speaking the same language? You know, it's very straightforward. You didn't tell me until the day before the wedding, which is an omission of information. He's made it about money when she's saying, well, clearly I can't trust you. What else is there that I don't know? And no, I'm not going to marry you because I don't know what else there is, you know, there. And I could lose because this guy's got no money, right? But either way, whether he did or didn't, she has money that she could lose whilst marrying him. So, you know, so he purposely twists it so that she will back down. Do you see how that works?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I don't want him to think I'm materialistic, so I better marry him and, you know, just brush it under the carpet. This is what he's trying to do to her. But thankfully, she stood strong and she was just like, no, it's not about that. And if you think it's about being materialistic, then you're an idiot and carry on with that. But to me, it's about the lying, right? She stood her ground where a lot of women don't, because a lot of them are angling a lot of the time to get the approval of the man. They don't stand their ground. They back down and they say, oh, I don't want him to think I'm materialistic. I don't want him to, you know, feel inadequate because of my money. And then they go along with their narrative, which is a twisted, distorted one, in order to get their man. Right? But Stacey's not like that. She's just like, yeah, but no. That's great, but I'm no.
Yeah, and
you lied to me. Go ahead.
And I hope more women take heed to that, because, but really basically a lot, I would say the majority of men are looking to get more than maybe they can afford emotionally, mentally, financially, whatever. They want to paint that onto women, but I see it happening more with men. A perfect example is the bus driver theory, how all those men were were getting mad at the lawyer for, in a matter of speaking, turning her nose up to a bus driver. And even though it's like what they should have been saying is like, well, yeah, you're a bus driver, dude. What are you talking about? She's a $1 million lawyer. What do you
that concept is absolutely ridiculous to me, because I think people who say this are not taking into account what it takes to be a $1 million lawyer or whatever she is. Right? It's not just about the money, it's the mentality. It's like your mentality has got you to a place where you are a bus driver. Her mentality has got her to a place where she's a multimillionaire. We're living in two different realities, right?
Exactly.
And then living in those two different realities, you want me to allow the bus driver to lead me. That's ridiculous. The bus driver has no kind of concept of the world that this other woman is living in. And that's another thing about compatibility. It's not just about money. It's about mindset. You have to have mindset compatibility in relationships as well.
Exactly. And it's so it's really amazing to me when you watch a lot of these dating shows on how no one really talks about compatibility much. They don't talk about, well, I like to go to the beach and I'm hoping, somebody will have the same energy for the beach as I do. Or that's just one example. I mean, it's not just about a beach, but, certain passions that match, certain things that both people like to do together or could enjoy together or could share, even if it's something new or something different. They don't talk about being consistent. They don't talk about being compassionate. They don't talk about having empathy. They don't talk about, having no temper or a little temper or anything like that. They talk about looks, rating numbers. They talk about, where you got to, the guys, oh, you got to submit to me. Women are supposed to submit, having nothing to offer back. Most of these guys don't even have anything to offer back. Everything that these men have, women usually already have. So it's weird for me to see this going on.
Exactly. That submission thing, as soon as a man is asking for submission, it's already wrong.
Right.
It's already wrong. It's like, okay, the woman submits naturally in the relationship once you've submitted yourself. Okay. The woman has to feel comfortable and safe in the relationship in order to submit. It's not the woman submits and then, you just do what you want. You just decide from there what you're going to do with her. That's not how that works. So the fact that you're having to ask for submission means you haven't even put in the effort to get that submission, because it would have already been done. It's an inbuilt thing within every single woman, I believe. And I think that, women just don't want to submit. I think that's an absolute myth. If a woman is feeling safe enough within their relationship, they will submit. They won't even think about it. It won't even be a thing.
Right. I mean, it's weird for me to even think about submission coming up at all, because to me, it's more like just a natural reaction of
exactly. Exactly. I am a very, independent, interdependent woman, right? When I was living in the UAE, the men there put women first. The woman's interest is the first interest. And it doesn't even have to be their woman. You're walking down the street, your interest is their interest, right? You feel safe, you feel comfortable, and you naturally just allow them to do whatever they need to do. If they're sorting out something in another language, you just sit there and you're just like, you're not like in there like, what's going on? Because you know that they have your best interests at heart.
Right. Exactly.
Everything, the police, everything. So you're not even, and it's the same in a relationship. So the fact that that person has to, I've never had anybody come up to me and say, just submit to me. They've never had to say that.
Right.
It's always the dusties and the ones that are not given what they're supposed to be given, trying to take a shortcut and get you to just listen to whatever they have to say, even though it's nonsense.
Exactly. It is. It's crazy to me. It's to see this. It's like, it's almost, to me, it's in a way, it's a way of admitting that you're a failure if you have to demand submission.
Absolutely. It's already a red flag. I'm like, okay, so you're not the guy. You're not the dude.
Right.
Already.
Exactly. It's like, wait, if it's almost like asking asking a football coach, hey, can I play, when really your performance, they're going to want to put you on the field.
Right. Exactly. It's like, well, obviously if you have to ask, it's a no. They have to put you on the field.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's the same sort of thing.
Sports. Yeah. I should say in competitive sports.
And
they want
even,
the best,
go ahead.
Yeah, they want the best 11 on the field for international football and 12 on the field for American football.
Right.
Anyway.
And I think that any good man doesn't even ask for submission.
Right.
They just do what they're doing. Their goal is to make you feel comfortable. They just do what they're doing.
Exactly.
You know, and in that, you feel comfortable enough to, how comfortable can you feel when your man's telling you that you must submit? What?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna just go do that now, even though you've not put in any foundation to show me that I can trust you in any form of way. I'm just gonna do that. And if I don't, then I'm the problem. That's so toxic.
Boom.
Stacey explains that she feels confused about who Izzy is, which is making her feel uneasy. Check it out.
I feel like there's all these different voices in my head of like he has and I have, like I'm showing you, and it's like I'm fighting for you, and yeah, you are, but
What she's describing here is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance occurs when you're holding two conflicting ideas about a person in your mind. This cognitive dissonance is a constant feature in a toxic, abusive, or narcissistic relationship. And in an attempt to resolve the discomfort that this contradiction creates, the target, the victim, will usually focus on the idea that supports their toxic being a good, kind person and allows them to continue with the relationship, whilst blocking out all other ideas. So essentially, we start lying to ourselves in order to keep that discomfort at bay. Red flag number 3 is his hoovering attempt. He knows that things were left up in the air after the discussion about his credit score. And he actually explains to his friends that they took space in order to allow each other to process what had just happened. And though he tries to hide it, you can see that he's actually quite worried about this. Check it out.
I got so much to fill y'all in on. Oh, yeah. From just the last 48 hours or what? Yeah, I was a wreck last night. I didn't think that my credit score was going to be that big of a deal. So I wasn't afraid to tell her I'm a man of integrity. You're the strong, the cool, calm guy. And she finally saw me just kind of lose it, you know?
anytime problems would come up, like yeah, we would get frustrated, we would have arguments. It was never like anything toxic or crazy, and we'd always like fix it and move on. Everything was good, but it's just like in the last 2 or 3 days, I felt her stressed. I felt your stress. I'm stressed 48 hours. Yeah. We told each other like we need space. Like you need to process this shit for yourself. I need to process it. But that's my girl. I love her.
So he decides to write.
So it seems like it seems weird, but believe it or not, a credit score is kind of an important telling factor in many ways. Don't get me wrong. There have been times when people are better than their credit score or it might have been, not telling of their character, but a lot of times it shows the world how you manage your life. Because it shows you that you take care of things on time. You keep up on all the bills. I mean, not only the bills, but just your life in general. So
go ahead.
Okay, is he disappointed because he feels like she's rating her on his credit? Oh wait, she's rating him on his credit score?
He's manipulating. He knows it's not about this credit score.
Okay.
He's totally manipulating. He's trying to get her to believe it's about the credit score so she can drop it.
Oh, got it.
You see, he twisted the narrative before and made it about money so she would fall back. She's not doing it. So he's pushing forward still to talk about it being about the credit score. It's not about this credit score, and he knows it. That's why he's shaking in his boots. And he lost his temper. Remember, he said, I lost it. She knows me as a calm, you got to read between the lines. He said, she knows me as a calm person and I lost it. Why did you lose it, sir? You were already in the wrong. So you were in the wrong and you lost your temper. That's not a good look. And he knows it's not a good look, which is why he sat there sweating, because he's like, she's not going to marry me. I've revealed too much of my toxicity too early. Right?
Yeah.
Because he tried to throw a tantrum in order to cover up the fact that he lied to her. And I love Stacey because she seems to have a very secure attachment style, which is great. If she had an anxious attachment style like Johnny, then, she probably would have fallen for that hook, line, and sinker, but she's very secure. So she very much, on many, many occasions, not just that one, stood her ground and was just like, yeah, but no. Back to what I was saying.
Right.
when he tries to twist the narrative. That guy is very, very manipulative. Very.
All right, let me go to another video. We're gonna go into Bourbon Bougie is gonna tell us directly about manipulation tactics of negging.
I have been talking about some manipulation tactics that males use to control women or lower their self-esteem in relationships instead of just being decent human beings that are vulnerable and do give and take and try to produce relationships that are beneficial to both people. Anyways, let's talk about negging. I found a Reddit thread where a woman was talking about her experiences with negging. She says, "A month ago, I began dating a man. Something interesting about him is that I have noticed him negging me. For those of you who aren't familiar with what negging is basically a form of manipulation or emotional abuse. The negger attempts to lower your self-esteem by using backhanded compliments and jokes at the expense of the person. Example 1. I was drinking water and spilled. He said he thought I'd gone to college and knew how to drink water. Example 2. Over dinner, he joked about being 2 levels above me and me needing to prove myself. And then he said, just kidding. Example number 3. On a hike, I got my period, which stained my pants. He then said his ex used to be really good with hygiene. So that is her example. Then I went to the Google and I found another definition to share with y'all. Negging, covertly insulting someone perceived to be out of your league with the intention of making her doubt herself and take her down a peg or two to be more receptive to your advances. Used by both pickup artists and malignant narcissists to get attention they would not otherwise receive. So instead of just complimenting a woman, being genuinely decent, having good rapport and building something, they have to lower your self-esteem. So that is the definition.
Let me pause it right there. What are some ways to combat somebody who is negging other than just ghosting them?
I don't recommend that you be around a negger because here's the thing. Some things are going to stand out to you and other things are just going to fly under the radar, right? And it's going to hit your self-esteem, right? So as soon as you see someone who's doing this, get rid of them. One of the things that she said, it wasn't just negging. See, he combined it with triangulation, that thing where she got her menstruation in her pants, and then he compared her to an ex. That's a double whammy. So he's negging and triangulating her.
Okay, got it.
Right? So it's like, okay. So it just gets worse. As soon as you see that, just get out of it. The guy is not secure enough to be with you. End of story. Leave it alone. Like, what is the point in being with someone who isn't going to celebrate you?
Right.
I don't see the point even. It's like,
yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. You could do that all on your own. You could neg yourself.
Right.
Why do you need someone else to come along and do it for you?
Right. You want somebody to bring you up, not take you down.
Not even so much bring you up, but allow you to remain at the level that you're at.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like when good things happen, you're kind of like vibing together. When bad things happen, it's just like, yeah, it was kind of rubbish, but come on, let's just move. You know what I mean? You don't want someone who's going to be knocking you down and taking you further down than you were without them. That doesn't make any sense to me. So when you see negging, just get rid of them.
Got it.
So some of the comments on this particular Reddit thread sounds immature. Break it off. This guy is hoping to break you down and make you feel like you don't deserve good treatment so he can do as little as possible in contributing to a relationship. That is the tame version. The worst one is that he's prepping you to accept abuse. Yes. So if you get used to little barbs, then as he adds bigger barbs, you'll just be kind of used to it. So he's testing the water. Okay, this comment. Agreed, the first alone I'd have taken as a joke. I've had family and made my own jokes about having the hole in your lip under similar circumstances. The other two, this makes for a pattern and not a good one. And then the next comment says, yeah, the last one is especially shitty. Comparing to an ex is just in a shitty way. Staining your pants when on your period can be so embarrassing. yes, this person in particular just wants to embarrass you, take your self-esteem down. And this is just a manipulation tactic that women really, really need to look out for. So this is my example. Y'all jump in, tell me what you think.
All right. That was very interesting.
Cyber Dream says women do this as well. I don't think they do it as much in male to female relationships, though.
So this was a post.
Okay, let me pause that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
I've seen negging between females and females, but I don't think it crosses over as much from female to, you know what I mean, heterosexual relationships.
Right. I think usually I find, at least in my experience in the past, women usually avoid any type of negging because, you know, they don't want to set the guys off, to be honest with you.
Exactly. Maybe female to female, I can see how that works. There's a lot of toxicity within the female friendship. But male to female, no, that's a male dominant thing that happens.
All right, let's go back into this.
Now, who's having that? Who's got?
Hey, this was we talked about this before. We're going to overlap just a little bit. Let me see if I can find the right space to start this.
Kel, I think that's the important caveat. I told you, I didn't. These aren't fairy tales. Who? Well, I'm not going to name these women by name because I'm not going to invade their privacy. But I encourage you.
Okay, that's like they're right in the middle of something there. I'm going to start it right there, and I'm going to back off the volume up here just a little bit because this looks like it was recorded hot.
Limiting ourselves to Black men. That's fine. That's fine. I have firsthand experience with that as well. We could talk about that another day. But what I'm saying is most Black women that I know prefer Black men. So I'm not in the business of trying to talk Black women into wanting other than what they really want. Okay, right? Okay. I gave the example of the Birkin bag. It was kind of, cheeky. But, if you tell me, Eboni, I want an educated Black man, I'm not going to talk you into dating a white man. I'm not going to talk you into dating a blue collar Black man. I'm not going to talk you into being bisexual and dating women and being. I want to help advise you the best way I know how, as to put yourself in proximity to a high concentration of educated Black heterosexual men that are potential partners for you. That's it.
And it doesn't matter if you are going to be happy in this marriage. It doesn't matter if you guys are going to be partners in this marriage, as it were. It doesn't matter if what I'm stating is going to get you into the proximity of the marriage is going to lead to the divorce. You're saying, I'm just telling you, this is how you get to the part of being married, not sustaining a marriage, not being happy in that marriage, not having a healthy marriage, just enacting this contract.
Because that is what I have been asked to advise to, Raquel. I think that's the important caveat. I told you, I didn't. These aren't fairy tales. Who? Well, I'm not going to name these women by name because I'm not going to invade their privacy. But I encourage you, I implore you to talk to some of your non-married, never married, because I want to say this too. The never married answer to that is very different from the divorced answer to that. So a lot of the reason I can sit in this posture and be like, marriage is not for me, and I'm not pressed about getting married, and I'm okay to have my baby alone, is because I've been married. Let's be clear. I had the cushion cut diamond ring. I had the Sale blue label dress. I had the 5-course thing. I've done it. I had the social elevation as arbitrary.
It's weird how she's not going into anything about the qualities of the guy he was marrying.
No, because her whole point is that a lot of people have the image of marriage and they're holding on to that, which is why they get married. That's her whole thing, isn't it? So she's saying, I don't view marriage in the same way because I had all of those attachments that come with the marriage. So I understand that it's more than that involved in a marriage. But those who haven't had it are looking at the day, they're looking at the dress, they're looking at the, you know what I mean? All the accessories that come with it rather than the marriage itself. I think that's what she's saying there, because she's not one for marriage herself personally. She doesn't actually recommend it for a lot of people. She says it's not for everybody. So I think that's where she was going with that.
As it may be, of being someone's wife and having someone else's last name, right? So who am I to sit in a posture of judgment if a fellow Black woman tells me, well, bitch, easy for you to say because you had it. I never had it and I want it. And then it's up to me whether or not I decide to stay in it. I'm dealing with a very close friend right now who's having that, who's got two therapists. You know, she's in couples counseling with her husband. She's in single therapy with herself. She's trying to figure out if this marriage is still for her. So Raquel, don't mishear me. I'm extremely aware of the complications of overall mental health within a marriage, for sure. But that's not what I'm being asked to speak to. I'm being asked.
That's what I want you to speak to then. So, because you're speaking, that's what I want you to speak to, because you've been speaking about everything else. Do you feel as though the thought process of you're going to get to this process of being married, and I'm not going to talk about any other aspect of what contributes to a healthy marriage? What do you think that will do to the mental health? Just thinking about, I need to make it to this date and I don't have to process compatibility. I went to college. I got my BA. I didn't get a high degree because I was following this man around and I had to make sure I was graduated, right? So I followed him around. We got married.
Yep.
What is the mental health and well-being of that marriage in your perception?
I believe that is why we're adults and we make choices, Raquel. I'll give you an example because I do hear the subtext, right? So let's go to law school. A lot of people told go be a doctor or a lawyer. And we can do the same for medicine, but I'm just going to go to law because that's what I lived and know, right?
Okay.
Go to law school, make great grades, right? Be in the top 5% of your class, 10% of your class, so that you can be invited to these on-campus interviews, which all the big firms hold. And then they cherry pick the best of the best to be associates at their law firms, put on a partnership track coming out of law school. That is what every law student across this country at every law school from Southern University to Harvard is told. And many of them do that. And they get out and they get these great jobs that start them at $200,000 a year these days. And that is their trajectory. And I know how to coach any law student, especially the Black ones, to that track. I was on that track. I was that law student. I landed at a fantastic, prestigious firm. I was the first Black woman lawyer at that firm in its entire existence. And the firm was in Charlotte.
What is her angle? I got lost here a little bit.
Yeah, so did I, to be honest.
Let's see where she's taking us.
I didn't. Go ahead, carry on.
North Carolina was over 30 years old. To this day, they haven't had a Black woman since. Anyways, I found that lifestyle to be detrimental to my mental health. I did. If you talk to enough white collar firm lawyers, you will hear that same story. I was drinking too much. I was not rested. It was not a productive pathway of life for me. But Raquel, who am I to tell young law students across the country every day, especially Black ones, not to pursue that trajectory? If they want to be, I'm very serious. If they want to be at Jones Day, if they want to be at Sidley Austin, because here's the other thing, for every Eboni K. Williams who it's not for, there is, for a long time, Michelle Obama, who it was for. You know, she enjoyed being at Sidley Austin, billing 90, 100 hours a week.
Okay, yeah, I remember what her point was now. So her point basically is marriage is not for everybody, and also the boss bitch movement is not for everybody. That's what she's saying.
Ah, got it.
So basically she's like, okay, so when someone comes to me and says they want to get married, even though sometimes I think it's not even for them, I won't tell them that it's not for them. I'll just let them go with whatever. And the other lady saying that it's her responsibility. I don't know if we've gotten that far, but basically that's the point. Let me just be quiet. Let's keep it rolling.
Gotcha. Here we go.
I think that we have to, I believe it's important to give people autonomy and choice to experience these different pathways of life, whether it be marriage, firm life, home ownership. That's another one, right? That everybody's preaching home ownership is not for everybody. Some people can't stand. They want to pick up the phone and call a landlord when something's broken. They do. So I can tell you how to get to home ownership, but then I'm not going to sit here and be responsible for the fact that once you got into home ownership, you're unhappy, you're dissatisfied, then sell your house and go back to renting. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that
So
as the
the other
same thing.
woman's point here, the other woman's angle here is that it's her responsibility to educate these people that come to her for marriage or whatever in what that entails. And she's like, no, I'm just giving them what they want. I show them how to get to marriage. I'm not going to go into the details of what it is and isn't and how and what and this, that, and the third. I'm not going into that. I show them how to get to marriage, and that's it. So that Dr. Raquel's telling her she should go deeper, and she's saying basically, no, that's not my place. It's not my ministry, basically.
Oh, she's willing to give them what they want, but nothing more. And even in a way that it might even distract the young ladies that she's talking to into doing something maybe not as wise as it should be, it sounds like.
Well, here's the thing. There's a it's double-edged sword with that, because on one hand, I agree with her because she's staying in her lane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm not going to advise you and start going into your trauma, right. and healthy and unhealthy dynamics, when my goal and my job is to get you married. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
You need to go see a therapist or a marriage counselor or something. I know what she's doing, right? But this lady, Raquel's basically saying, well, they're coming to you, so it's your responsibility to provide all of that. And she's like, no. It's my responsibility to do what they've asked me to do, which is get them married or get them to a stage where they're marriage material.
Right. And then Raquel is basically saying, yeah, making the point of, what if the marriage isn't healthy? I mean, what if they're miserable? You know?
And she's like, it's on you. If you're miserable, that's the situation that you're in.
Got it. So she's like saying, well, too bad.
Basically.
That's not my problem.
It's not my problem. It's not my issue. You said you wanted to be married.
Got it.
Now you're married. Job done. Tick.
Oh, okay.
On one hand, I kind of agree with her, because it's like, she's not a therapist. Well, she's got a background in psychology and all of that, but that is not what she's selling. That's not what she's saying that she's going to do. And on the other hand, you could probably help them to vet the process a little bit better, right? But then that
right.
also goes into therapy again.
Mm-hmm.
Because what she's saying is, they come to me with their ideas and I help them make their ideas a reality. I don't dismantle their ideas and go through it with a thin-tooth comb to make sure that it's healthy.
Right. So she's not going to teach the aspects of, Eboni is not going to teach a woman how to have a successful marriage. She's just going to teach you how to get married, and nothing to do with reading whether you have the right, mate, or vetting the right men to marry. That's your problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically what she's saying.
Dang.
And I half agree and I half don't, because I'm like, okay, shouldn't you be helping her with the selection process? Shouldn't the aim be to have a healthy marriage? But at the same time, what Raquel is suggesting that she does is beyond her remit. That's not, it's like, okay.
Got it.
So I do and I don't agree. I think she goes on later to say that they should go to marriage counseling or find a counselor like Raquel. She's like, over to you, Raquel. Right? That's your area. They should go to you. And I give them tips on how to get married. Which I think in itself is a bit of a long con. I don't think you can teach someone how to get married without them compromising themselves in some way. What are you
True.
teaching them?
I think it's almost like I don't know. It just seems weird that she should really, quite honestly, she shouldn't even mention anything about that before. A precursor should be you. Where's your self-esteem at?
Exactly. This I don't understand how you could be teaching someone to be married without tapping into the heavy patriarchal views, right?
Right.
Especially if you're not looking at self-esteem in any of that, then all you're doing is teaching that woman how to fit into a box that she doesn't already fit into, or else she wouldn't need you.
Right. Exactly.
So that she can get married and then what? Unravel, unpack herself. Hey, surprise! Here's the real me. Right? It's like I don't see how that's gonna work out long term.
Yeah, what does it remind? It almost reminds you of how I heard back in the military, back in the old days, they would not really train soldiers how to be soldiers. They would just hand them a gun and go. Okay, go ahead, run out there, aim and shoot. And this is kind of the idea that I think Ebony Williams is giving us. She'll tell you how to get, she'll give you a gun, go out there, you're married now, go ahead and do your best.
Basically, it's like, oh, when you get there and all these complicated communication skills are necessary, you're just like, oh, okay. I thought I was just gonna wear a white dress and cook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? It's like,
right.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think how much contact do you have with college students right now?
I mean, certainly not daily, like your experience teaching, but I mentor them a lot. I speak to a lot of college and graduate school, classes. I keynote a lot of Balsa and this and that. So I was.
That's a no. Basically, she walks up. If the closest she comes to the students is that she walks up to the pedestal, she talks for 1 or 2 hours about legal stuff probably, and then leaves. Sees a few kids on the way in and sees a few kids on the way out.
Which is not a bad thing. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. But it definitely doesn't make her a relationship. I mean, a relationship expert in any. The thing is that she's being seen as a relationship expert now, even though she's not. And I'm not saying that. She's at least a little bit better off to me than, let's say, Kevin Samuels, who posed himself to be a relationship expert, but wasn't at all in any way, shape, or form. At least Ebony is saying, well, this is not my lane, but I'm going to tell you anyway. That's the feeling I get.
Well, no, for me, I get the opposite feeling. I get the feeling that she's committed to her lane. Okay. She's like, I'm just going to teach you how to get married. A, B, C, D. I'm not veering left and I'm not veering right.
The only problem is she hasn't been married. If she got married in her early years.
I thought Ebony was married.
No.
No, she has been married. She got married and she's divorced.
Okay, I thought she was engaged.
Yeah, she definitely got married and's been divorced. Definitely. So she's been married. She's just not married now.
Got it. Okay, got it. Okay.
And that's why she gives the advice on how to get married to the person that you want to get married to.
Right. Now you might get divorced, but at least you got married. You got the divorce, you got the marriage thing going, so.
You might even get an annulment, depending on how quickly the show.
Yeah, you might have to do Terrell Owens, who knows?
But you get married if you sign up with me. Who to and how long? Nobody knows.
Pandemic at the Harvard Business Schools, talking to only their Black students. So, probably more than most non-teaching professionals.
Yeah. So when you mention this aspect of who am I to state this, I think you're a prime person to state it because your messaging is, I am speaking to, this is what you're stating.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to individuals who, if you are deciding that you want to get married, I'm talking to this younger group. So to make the statement, who am I to say it? You're the key person who started the conversation in this narrative. And I see this dichotomy of, you're mentioning the aspect of, there are so many individuals who are in your age range and my age range who are having these conversations.
Yeah.
But this messaging isn't directed towards them. This messaging that you're given is
Yes,
directed
you're
towards
correct.
individuals who have not even been able to become their full selves. So when you mention a
Yes.
statement such as, who am I to speak to them? I agree with that. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, I don't think this was a response. I think this is a
I
responsible
know that.
conversation.
Yeah. And I'm good
to
with that.
have-
I'm good with that position, Raquel. I'm not trying to talk you out of that position. I would say
Yeah.
this. There are people, young people, like you say, because that's who I'm talking to, that have an intrinsic value around marriage. The same way with the law school example. I can tell you it sucks. There are people that it means something to them. It has intrinsic value to them to be a law associate at Jones Day Law Firm.
But what's the point of getting married? See, I understand her point that some people, in my theory, by mistake, have this goal of getting married. But really, marriage is supposed to be the byproduct of an excellent relationship between two people, not just because you want a ring.
Yeah, the thing is, she's using her marriage as a destination rather than an experience. Let's get there.
Exactly.
And if you want him to marry you or want to marry you, say this and do that and suggest this and wear this. It's nonsense.
True.
I was able to walk away from it after 1 year, shoot the deuces, take a pay cut, and go be a public defender. But but that's a me thing. Everyone's not wired like that.
Wait a minute. Let me see.
You're given is
Yes,
directed
you're
towards
correct.
individuals who have not even been able to become their full selves. So when you mention a
Yes.
statement such as, who am I to speak to them? I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think this was a response. I think this is a responsible
I know that.
conversation.
Yeah. And I'm good
to
with that.
have-
I'm good with that position, Raquel. I'm not trying to talk you out of that position. I would say
Yeah.
this. There are people, young people, like you say, because that's who I'm talking to, that have an intrinsic value around marriage. The same way with the law school example. I can tell you it sucks. There are people that it means something to them. It has intrinsic value to them to be a law associate at Jones Day Law Firm. It didn't mean shit to me, Raquel. So that's why I was able to walk away from it after 1 year, shoot the deuces, take a pay cut, and go be a public defender. But but that's a me thing. Everyone's not wired like that. So if you
Okay,
are a
now I
young
see.
Black woman, young lady, girl, whatever, woman, and it has a marriage and motherhood in a certain context, because we need to expand to the fertility part in a second, hopefully. Motherhood in a particular context, meaning with a husband or at least a romantic partner, that has intrinsic value for many young Black women. And I don't feel led to talk them out of that intrinsic value.
But see, my theory is this, and I'm definitely not a relationship expert, but there's a lot of people, it's like for me, I have an intrinsic value to have cheesecake every night. I love cheesecake, but it's not good for me. And it seems like what she's doing is she's selling these people cheesecake, whether it be marriage or a certain career, without saying, are you ready for it? Are you sure, you have your ducks in a row, and so on and so forth? I don't know why I'm thinking about cheesecake. I think I'm just hungry. But
I have a serious weakness for cheesecake, so I get it.
Oh
Serious.
man.
But yeah, that's essentially what she's doing. But on the other hand, who is she to talk people out of what they say they want?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like she's being a facilitator of exactly what they say they want. So
Exactly.
I hear on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. On the other hand, I'm like, yeah, but if someone comes to you and say they want this, this, and this, Who are you to say no? You don't. You don't want cheesecake. You want oranges.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
That sounds like that sounds like a, I think you know, the oranges are much more healthy for you. That's for sure.
yeah, but it's cheat day, and someone just imagine it's cheat day, and someone's like, "Oh no, you still don't want the," you know.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it's like, okay, but this is what I've decided that I want. I've got my mind made up. I've got my mind made up that this is it. So either she's going to help them do it, or she's going to leave them alone.
Right.
She has no right to interfere with what, because it might work out well. Maybe they love toxicity and they just go into toxic land together. And they're married for 60 years. She has
Right.
no, you know,
Mm-hmm.
is it healthy by normal standards? Absolutely not. But maybe they both thrive on it, and that's exactly what they need.
Right. That makes sense.
So in that, does she really have a right? So I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I hear what Raquel's saying, but I also hear what Ebony's saying, and I'm like, yeah. And especially if you're dealing with life decisions, that's nobody's decision but yours.
Yeah, let me check in one thing. Everybody's wondering if Ebony has Ebony.
Yeah, she said she was married earlier on in the video.
Yeah, I think she. Let's see. What's her last name? Williams. Okay. Let me
She's
just.
not married now. She was.
I know she was engaged to a Caucasian dude recently. Where did Ebony come in Estonia first? Why is it? Why does Google make?
Or maybe I misunderstood because she was talking about the engagement. Yeah, look it up. Let's see if she actually was married.
Okay, that didn't work out. Let's see what else is here.
I understood it to be that she's been there, done that. She was married and now she's not. She's gone through the divorce and happily divorced. But maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I see why you came up with that assumption because that's how they worded it. I mean, who's Ebony K's husband and his ex-fiance is this guy here. And then Glenn, relationship timeline explained.
Okay, let's see what the timeline says. Does it mention marriage at all in that section?
We have here. Ebony K. Will had been in a relationship with Stephen Glenn for 4 years when the pandemic hit. They was already engaged. However,
oh, that doesn't sound good. However,
yeah. However, like many couples, the pandemic forced them to evaluate the relationship. Okay, so
during the conversation, revealed that quarantine period made them both realize the truth about their relationship. Scroll up.
Okay.
William explained that blah 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 blah. Yeah, not married. No.
Yeah, at least
wait a minute. Let's see. Was she married to somebody else though?
That's what I'm trying to find.
That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, let's check this out here.
Because the way that she said it was like, been there, done that.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got.
And if that's the case, and she's not married, then she's misleading people as well because she hasn't been there.
Okay, so
and she hasn't done that.
Yeah, she's 5'1". Okay, she's kind of short. Okay. Ebony.
So we need to know whether she's ever been married at any point in her life.
Okay, she does legal stuff and career timeline.
Because if she hasn't, she's literally selling a pipe dream at best. Because she hasn't even done it herself. So
right.
What's happening?
Yeah, she's never been married. It says it right there.
Okay, so how is she leading people to marriage? That's nonsense.
Basically,
I thought she was married and divorced.
She wasn't even that.
She's got not a leg to stand on.
No.
Not even half a leg. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing. That's the thing that got me was like,
That's like me teaching people how to do biochemistry.
okay, Deontay says she was married right out of
Because
college. Deontay says she was married right out of college, but this says she's never been married.
she was married right at there. Okay, so this is the impression that I got, that she has been married, but it says she's never been married, so that's confusing. We're just
Okay,
gonna go with she's never.
yeah, let me go through one more page here. Not the fiance thing, husband. Here we go. Eboni K. Williams, net worth. We don't care about that. Age, married husband. She's 18 and serious. Wait a minute. Is this the same Ebony? No, this ain't it. That's another one. Here we go. The Wikipedia never Wikipedia never lies. Okay, early life. Blah 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 blah. Chapel Hill. Blah, blah, blah. Career. Okay, it would be over here if she had ever been married. It's not there.
Is it there?
Career. Let's see. Not there. By bibliography. Nothing. References. We're gonna have to call it a no.
Yeah, we'll call it a no. So she's never been married to. She's not even really staying in her lane.
Right.
What is she basing this on? What's her qualification? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Her qualification is that's weird. Wait.
What is her qualification? Is she qualified in? I think she's a psychologist, right?
Okay, Deontay says that she was married and divorced.
Talked about it on the Breakfast Club. Okay, so that would make sense to me, because I don't see how you would go on here and just make up some bold-faced.
Right. But the weird thing is that if anything, it sounds like what she's trying to endorse these young ladies to do didn't work for her.
Yeah, but that's why she said that marriage isn't for everybody. And she sees a lot of people coming forward saying that they want to get married, but she's like, I don't really think it's for you, but I'm going to teach you how to do it anyway.
Right.
She does say that.
Yeah, really, she should just say, well, it didn't work for me, so I think you should talk to Raquel or Angelina or somebody. You see what I'm saying?
If you really want to get married, but then that would put her out of business, because her business is all about getting people to the altar, right?
Right. Well, she's supposed to be a lawyer, but it sounds like to me she wants to change her. She's getting bored with that. That's what it sounds like to me, because the only thing I know about Eboni K. Williams has to do in the relationship realm. I would have never have known who she was. So I know she's a lawyer, but I learned that after she got into this relationship debate.
Ah, so her background is in law, not in psychology. So she's not even got that to fall back on.
No.
Like, what are we doing here?
No, I mean, at best a divorce lawyer, and I don't think she's that. She's a criminal lawyer, I believe.
That's nonsense.
So I think what Raquel is doing is she's very nicely telling her to stay in her lane by having this discussion with her.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, and to me, you would say, well, it's not Raquel's business, but it is Raquel's business when you think about it, because Raquel is she's a clinical psychologist and professional in science. I mean, this is her lane. So she's not really telling Eboni, get out of my way or anything like that, but she's saying, you might be leading people down the wrong alley, because it sounds like to me really and this is the problem I have with online, social media, and with a big problem I have is people try to give advice where they're not an expert in, and they lead people down the wrong path. And
absolutely.
Whether it's well speaking or whether it's for money, it's like that. There's a certain, I can tell people don't walk across the street without looking for cars, but after that, it's like, look, as far as let's hire somebody, some road expert from that point on. And I think that's what Ebony is trying to sell. Is she's trying to say, well, I'm just telling them how to get married, which is a big deal. The thing is that getting married is supposed to be the result. She's telling people how to get a result without doing the work.
And now that I know more about her background, she's probably not doing the work for them because she doesn't have the capacity for it.
Right.
I mean, what are her qualifications? Because I thought, based on what Raquel was saying, that she did have some sort of background in psychology.
It appears to me that even if Ebony did, it sounds like to me that there's people who go out and they practice and they, like, whether it would be law or in science or in even medicine, and some people don't come out and they're just not good at it. They're just not good at it. Like a person who wants to become a quarterback, they try everything they can, they get all the training, they get quarterback coaches, and at best they're mediocre. And to me, as far as Ebony, when it comes to at least relationships, I don't know what she's done for legal stuff, but at least for relationships, she's just not equipped to help anybody with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's no worse than Kevin Samuels, but
no.
But at the same time,
but here's the thing, that is the problem with these coaches these days. They don't equip themselves for what they're doing. They just kind of like turn on the camera and start talking.
Yeah,
exactly. It's ridiculous the amount of misinformation that is spread based on people just being like, I'm a coach. Right? So I'm just going to say whatever I think because I'm a coach. And that's it. It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. And it's funny because I look up all these coaches. Like one example is Coach Greg Adams. He's been at least divorced once, and things were storming. And he had a situation where his ex, he cheated on his ex cheated on him. So it's like, what are you coaching? What are you coaching? What? And exactly many that are like this. Angry Man. He Angry Man. Now get this. This is as low as some guys go. He was so low that from what I was told, allegedly he stayed at his baby mother's house, whom he made 3 kids with, and she was on Section 8. So he had a place to stay with her. And it's like, wait a minute, you're trying to lead men. You're trying to tell men how to be successful. And it sounds like your past was filled with disaster.
That's ridiculous. That is what I mean. It's like the blind leading the even blinder. What is happening? Like, I feel like there should be something done about this because it's ridiculous at this point. But the thing is, I feel like people also welcome, like if you say something, like when I started off working in therapy and stuff like that, people would come to me, and people still do now come to me, and they come to me with their marriage. And I'm like, girl, I break people up. That's my lane, right? I'm not going to talk you through the finer points of help. I mean, do I know about healthy dynamics? Of course I do. It's part of the package. But my speciality is getting people out of toxic and abusive dynamics. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in your relationship, because that's my lane. Right? You go to a marriage therapist, baby girl. You know what I mean? It's like,
right. If you want to stay in that mess, you go to a marriage counselor. If you want to
stay married,
if you want to stay married, you come to me. Right.
You know what I mean? So this woman here, she doesn't even have, I was saying that she was staying in her lane, but she doesn't even have a lane because she doesn't have any expertise anywhere, as far as we now know.
Right.
So now I agree with Raquel and everything that she's saying, because I'm like, well, what are you doing, sis?
Right. Basically, Welcome to.
What are you talking about? So you're teaching people how to be married based on, like I said, a system that doesn't work out for any woman, and you've not even gone through it yourself. Like, this is ridiculous. What?
Yeah, I hope Ebony learns from this, because the thing is that, believe it or not, Ebony's platform is much larger than Raquel's platform. So
isn't that interesting? Well, based on what?
I mean, Eboni K. Williams. Let me look up her YouTube, but I bet it's in it's in the hundreds of thousands.
I'm gonna look her up.
It just goes to show you how people are captivated to people out of not qualifications.
Who just talk.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal to me. It's like, no, she's got to have some background somewhere. She can't have just pulled this all out of her butt. No, I refuse. It says American lawyer as soon as
all over the place. I mean, let's see here.
I refuse to believe it. It says American lawyer on the internet.
Okay, Eboni K. Williams. She had a whole court show and everything.
Okay, so she's got some celebrity behind her.
Yeah. See if I can pull up her channel just to see how many people. I just want to find out.
She's got some fame behind her. That's why. She's got some clout.
So on our YouTube channel, which she's not even really active, she says it's Griot that she got her fame after. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, she's on the Griot, a show called the Griot, which is a pretty big show. So she's telling a lot of people the wrong information, which is, concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, as a lot of them do. It doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Let me get some quick shout outs out of the way. Act Natural Under Pressure's in their house. Indiana Mom.
Let me find out what qualifications are while she do a shout out.
Gotcha. Mr. DJ Music. And we have Fiona's in the house. Deontay is in the house. Betterment of Black Women's in the house. Bridget's in the house. Cyber's in the house. Camo's in the house. Prism's in the house. Pax is in the house. Legs for Life is in the house. SB is in the house. Lily Lotus is in the house. I see Deontay on this stage. Did you have a comment or a question you'd like to ask?
Hey DJ, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm all right. I just wanted to comment on Eboni K. I think that she has been misconstrued two different times in the last few months. The first one was the bus driver, comment she made, and she was. I mean, that can apply to a lot of women, but she was just saying herself personally, in her own specific situation that she's in, that she wouldn't date a bus driver, and that went viral. It's not like she was telling a woman, like every woman, not to date people who are not making 6-7 figures.
Right.
But when she did do that, it's almost like certain groups held her up, like, oh, she's speaking for the women, all this, and that's cool. But I think that a lot of women who were holding her up in high regard for saying that are also upset at her for what she said about getting married in college, because she never put herself out there as a dating guru or anything like that. She's a political and social commentator.
Right.
That's really her big thing, and she's a lawyer. But her thing was, all she said is that if you are a Black woman and you want to marry a Black man who's on the same trajectory that you are on, financially and education and academic wise, the best time that you're going to have to find a large group of these men in one place are going to be when you're in college. That's all she said. She didn't say she was trying to teach women how to get married, because like she said, she got married, but nothing wrong with her husband. She straight up just divorced him that she didn't want to be married. So,
Right. Okay. So was she married in? So she was married in college, right?
I'm not, because she talked about it like 2 or 3 times on the Breakfast Club, but I remember the last time she was on there, she got pretty extensive. It either happened while she was in college or right after college. She got married. She said he was a good man, had a little bit of money, bought her a nice ring, everything was good. She just wasn't, she wanted to do her own thing.
Well, I can understand that. Let's say that did happen, right? And me and Angelina's point is basically, well, if it didn't work out for her, why is she even giving any advice whatsoever?
No, I know what you're saying. Like, now if she was up here trying to say that she knows the exact keys to how to get married and keep a marriage going, that's one thing. All she said was the best time. I think most people can agree that when you're in college, everybody's in college for one reason. They're trying to get higher educated. They want to make more money in life. We're all on the same trajectory is what I'm saying. And that's the only time that you're really going to have this many people around you who are going to be single on the same path that you are. Because outside of that, it just go to your job. Because most people meet their couples. Most couples meet each other either in school or at work.
Well, I would say yes and no, really. And I don't know. I think, and I'm going to turn over to Angelina after this, but I don't know about you, but I can understand. It sounds like Ebony's talking about more of a shotgun approach, because as there might be more eligible minds on the same path as you, there are less ready minds that are on the same path as you in college. Because what do you hear a lot of the guys, especially in the manosphere, they say, well, the guy's young. Why are you guys trying to tie him down so early in their life? Kevin Samuels was as a big proponent of, you shouldn't even be trying to get married until you get into your 30s. So, and partially, part of it actually makes sense, is because really you haven't really established in your mind in most cases, because I've heard of, cases where people get married in college and they're married for 50 years. But in most cases, you don't know what you really want, is what they're saying. But I'm going to turn that over to Angelina, because I am no expert at that, but I do know.
I would agree with her, but then I would also agree with you. And here's why. Okay, so there's a better caliber of men when you go to college. University, we call it in England. But because they're on the same track, they're getting qualifications, they've got the same kind of mindset and all of that stuff, right? So that is good. Tick. However, and they also have a more traditional mindset, because they've followed the pattern, they've gone to school, college, then university, they're following the track, right? So they have more of that kind of mainstream mindset, which falls in line with, which heightens the chances of you actually getting married. So yeah. However, you don't know yourself when you're that age. I mean, had I met my guy out of college, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. And I'd be completely miserable, because the person I am now is kind of cool. So, and the person I'd have to be would have been very, very limited. And I wouldn't have known that it would have been limited. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't know myself at that time. So I feel like a lot of the time when you get married out of college, you don't know yourself enough to even marry that person. Like the whole point of bringing yourself to a relationship is to actually bring yourself to that relationship. So yeah, yourself isn't fully formed yet.
I can agree with that. And it's that's the thing. It's just, that is more like a statistical, logical thing that she saw that I think most of us can see. As you said yourself, you can see how it makes sense on one end, but on the other end, you don't know. You don't know yourself. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. Nobody knows. It's like I'm sure we all flown on airplanes before. They tell you it's safe. It's safer than getting in a car. Blah blah blah. Right? But every time you get on that plane, you strap into that seat. Anything can happen at 30,000 feet. You don't have a parachute. I think that's one of the reasons why they call getting married, especially the guys, the big plunge, right? Because you really don't know. Like you really don't. anything can happen, even outside of your relationship, with the world that could come in and change what's going on. So becoming a partner with somebody while you still get to know yourself, I don't want to get too far off of it, but it's like that, what's her name, Tia Tamari, who divorced her husband recently.
Yes.
I think a lot of, I think that we have, especially the last decade, we have a lot of people, and for some reason, it seems to be like geared more toward women, where I don't want to say if they, it's almost like they mistake peace or what should I say, disruption with being unhappy. Because she said herself, nothing was wrong with him. He didn't cheat on her, lied to her, nothing. She just didn't feel happy, and it's like, and now she's coming out talking about it's hard to find somebody to date me. I'm like, if you chase happiness every day, happiness is an emotion. You can't have it 24 hours every single day for your whole life. And if that's what you're going to base your life off of, then it don't matter who your partner is, alone or not, you're not going to be happy.
I want to interject with that because I hear what you're saying, but like I said, if I had married my guy out of college, I wouldn't have been happy. And that wouldn't have been anything to do with him. It would have been the life that I had assigned myself to at that time. It would have been too small. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? And that in itself can make you unhappy. So on one hand, yeah, happiness isn't everything. You're not always going to be happy in your marriage. But if you haven't fully developed as a person and you kind of went and bought the wrong package, you know what I mean? That's what happens when you don't know yourself. You buy the wrong package. The package I was going to get was the, be married to this person, have some kids, and live in a house. Now, your good sis has traveled the world, right? So those two don't align, right? So had I been stuck in that box, I wouldn't have been happy. And that wouldn't have been because of him. That wouldn't necessarily been because of the marriage. It would have been that I bought the wrong package. So in that, yes, marriage isn't all about happiness, but if you bought the wrong package, then you need to get out of that marriage because you just literally, you're dying inside.
Value system. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, and it kind of, so because you also mentioned previously, like it's not your calling to do the work of dismantling systems, but your calling is to the navigation of broken systems in the meantime. And I also find that to be irresponsible to state that, like, when you're saying people are wanting to have the aspect of marriage.
Yes.
And I can talk to you about marriage, but not maintaining a healthy marriage, not having your mental health while being married. Who am I to speak to that? You're the perfect person to speak to it because you said that's the population you're addressing. When you talk about, I can talk about maneuvering these inappropriate systems, but not dismantling them. That's not my calling. That doesn't seem responsible because not acknowledging the systems in which these things were built, you can't really.
When did I say I wasn't acknowledging them?
No, not acknowledging them, not doing the work of dismantling them, right? Because
that's not my skill set. I mean, I have peers that are doing that every day.
Okay, I understand that. Do you believe that education is an integral part of coming to the process of dismantling something?
You mean education as in like academic study?
Yeah, like educating yourself on something. You said Frederick Douglass is one of your favorite people. You quoted him multiple times in your book.
Yes, of course.
Education is elevation, right? So
absolutely.
if you feel as though people are saying inherently that they want to be married, do you feel as though it's not appropriate to also query what does marriage mean to you?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you how that lands. Ebony, I really want to be married. I want to be a wife. I want to have a husband. Girl, well, let me tell you about that. Girl, it's a lot of this. I'm not doing that, Raquel, because everybody's experience is different. And again, I am making the space for people having an intrinsic valuation of the construct of marriage. Period.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. That doesn't. And this is where my disconnect between your book, which your second book, Betting on Black, which I feel as though could be used as any is an amazing model in terms of Black identity development, which is one of my specialties in research and in work. This is where I find the biggest disconnect, because I find like it doesn't seem like it's the same person writing this book. All of the quotes I wrote down from the book, liberation is found in knowing that who you get to be is your choice. But then also stating the fact that you have to divest yourself from the Mammy and Jezebel stereotypes.
Yes.
But also when you're doing these interviews and stating that men want individuals that are accommodating, more so nurturing. These are also words that are often used to describe the Mammy stereotype. And to
They
think
do want that.
Oops, my bad. Dang it. I hope I get back to it.
But the main thing is to be a catalyst for hard conversations. And
yes, so I would say it's not possible to speak to a narrow group when you are in over, 85% of homes that your lane has reached into mine. And that was
I willingly and lovingly hand them off to you, my dear. I really do. I swear that from
you see, now that I know her background, now that I know her background, she's got no legs to stand on in this conversation. I don't even know why they're having it.
Yeah.
She hasn't done any research on this. She hasn't written a book about this. She doesn't have any experience in this. I don't understand what's happening now.
Right.
She's basically teaching women how to be pick-me so that they can be married. Because that's what she said. When Raquel was saying, oh, you know, the mammies and stuff like that, she was like, that's what a lot of men want. So you're basically teaching women how to be pick-me's so they can be married, which is a dangerous combination at best.
Married.
So Raquel's right. She's leading them to Toxicville.
Yeah, to slaughter, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Let me see if
I'm sorry, she's still from her LinkedIn, she's still like in the profession of law.
So
none of this is
she's still in there, but I think this is the problem I have, is that she's a lawyer, but she's more popular being a relationship expert, if you know what I mean.
But she's not an expert.
She's not an expert. She just this is something that just happened recently. Like she's not an expert on. She said it herself. I think they just took that moment that she said, and like this is what this whole viral internet social media thing has been doing. Because that's what happened with Kevin Samuels. When Kevin Samuels first came out, he wasn't talking about women. He was talking about men's fashion and stepping up your game and all this stuff. He had one conversation with one woman, and 3 months later, all of a sudden, he's a relationship expert and guru, and he ran with it because he can monetize it. But they do this. Look at us, Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, what does he have to stand on? What he has nothing. He's not an expert, a guru.
He's just a comedian. Yeah, you're right.
But wait. Steve Harvey wrote a book, at least.
Yeah, I think he wrote 2 books.
He's written 2 books. So at least in order to write a book, you have to do a level of research. That is it, right? So at least he's done that. This woman hasn't even done that. So, and okay, and I kind of understand what she means now when she says, "Who am I to speak on this?" Because she's right. Who is she to speak on this?
The problem is speaking on this. That's the problem.
That's what I mean. But people are bringing it to. I don't think Eboni K is voluntarily calling these platforms saying, "I want to talk to you about how I know about relationships." I think that they're just asking her about.
What usually happens, at least in other cultures that I know, is if somebody brings something to you, like, you know, we want advice or whatever, they usually will just refer that to somebody else to say, that's not my lane, I'll move on. While Eboni herself, she's still getting on panels, and she's going to you know, on radio shows and whatever, speaking on stuff that she's clearly not an expert on. And the problem is it does more damage than somebody like Raquel, you know, or Angelina can fix, because she's speaking to a much larger audience, and audiences are going to eat up whatever she says because they believe what she's saying. So that's the issue I have, is like, if she wasn't this ain't her lane, then she should get out the lane.
Exactly. I mean, it's not just about what people bring to you. People bring a lot of stuff to me. I've had people who wanted me to be in articles as a relationship coach, and I'm just like, yeah, but I'm not. That's not it.
No, I
I'm
understand.
toxic and abusive recovery coach. That's what I deal with, right? So in that, you have to know your lane and stay in that lane. She doesn't seem to be doing that.
Yeah, I believe it's something more about pop culture though. When you get to the level that they are at, when they're getting viewed by hundreds of thousands and millions of people, going viral all over the place, people want to know these people's opinions, even if it's outside of their realm of expertise. I mean, they ask celebrity rappers and actors about social justice. They asking them about Palestine and Israel right now. You know, they don't know nothing about that. But
that is
people just want to know. They just want to know their opinion. And I mean, I don't think there's nothing wrong with somebody giving their opinion. Now, I do agree that there are a lot of people who could follow each individual, like people who love Eboni K and take every word that she's saying to heart. But I mean, as much as I try to listen to what she's been saying, not just about this, but everything, she does have good intention. I don't think she's trying to ruin people. It's just that there are better people to speak with about certain things. I mean, I'm sorry, I was going to say, but like, they jumped on Ice Cube a few years ago when he came out with that Platinum Plan or Black America Plan or whatever it was. And they were like, we supposed to have experts do this, not rappers. And he said, I did have experts. Dr. Claude Anderson,
Yeah,
I think
the problem
economics sit down.
Well, the problem with Ice Cube is it was something that he could have released a lot. See, basically, he was releasing his plan like at the tail end of an election or something like that.
It was during the election.
Yeah, which that was just horrible timing. And the way he presented it was horrible as well.
They were mad at him just because he talked to Trump's campaign. That was it. But I'm just saying,
well, no, it's not that, Deontay. It's the fact that that wasn't a good presentation. The timing was terrible. It should have been something that he at least co-signed with, you know, whatever major, political people we had in the Black community. He was just like, I'm going to come out here. You know, this is the guy who look, I have a lot of respect for Ice Cube. But the thing is he never, ever, ever before now said he was a political expert. He never said he was a community expert. So it seemed like to me there had been a lot of people in the community, both Black male and female people, who were better experts than he was at it, that at least he should have shelved it for them first. He should have said, here, what do you think of this plan here? And who do you think is going to be best to implement it? He was kind of like, it seemed like to me, and then I want to get off of this because we're not a political thing. It seemed like to me, he just wanted people to do what he wanted them to do when he wanted them to do it. And he hadn't even put in the work. He hadn't been, I've never seen him march anywhere or make books on how the Black community can be made better. And we have all these scientists and experts who have been doing that. Whether we like them or not, there's people more qualified than who Ice Cube was. And he wanted to just come out of the blue and wanted to use his platform, which is rather large, to say, this is how I want stuff done. He even got mad when even after, I remember even after, I believe they said, okay, yeah, we're going to have you talk to our vice president, which at the time it turned out to be our vice president, but she was a candidate at the time who was, I can't believe I forgot her name, but Kamala Harris, right? And he was like, no. I was like, what? Wait a minute.
No, that's not how it happened. But I know what you're saying, though, DJ. But at the end of the day, and Ice Cube said this himself, just like Eboni K is in this situation, people want to hear from people who they deem as the celebrity or the star, the ones who have the hot white window, the hot white light is what I meant to say.
Right.
So
Whether they're qualified or not, they want to hear from them. Yes. I
yeah,
agree.
because Ebony K could come on tomorrow on her Instagram, go live and say, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna present you guys this new therapist I know. She's a marriage counselor. She's got 5 PhDs and this, and that. She's been married. She marries people. She's the top qualified person on the planet." And then you go and you don't know who she is. You never heard of her. She got 2,000 people following her Instagram. Nobody's going to tune into that, especially if Ebony K said, "Oh, I'm not going to be on there. It's just going to be her." But she's the expert. Like they would rather go ask Kim Kardashian about marriage information than the
That
actual
is
expert.
true. That is true. And what you said about her intentions here, I'm like, okay, that's great, but like your intentions don't mean anything when you're leading people to slaughter.
Right.
Like,
No, I agree with you.
If your intentions, I mean, here's the thing. Even when it comes to, people, I specialize in abuse and trauma, right? And even when it comes to that, just going through that abuse and trauma yourself doesn't qualify you to help people get through it.
Right.
I even say that because you only have one lens in which you're looking through as to help people. You don't even know if that's a productive or healthy lens. You just know that that's what you did. Do you know what I mean? So
yes.
it takes not just personal experience is great. I mean, gosh, it really helps, but also education in the area that you are telling people, especially when you are telling people how to do things in their lives. That's your responsibility. The intention doesn't matter at that point when you're telling people about their lives.
Exactly.
No, I understand.
You get what I mean?
No, I get what you mean, and it's and then I'm thinking about people who going through a problem, and instead of going to someone who's an expert at it or at least trained in it, educated in it, they go and call their best friend who's a failure at everything and ask for their opinion. So like it's almost like I don't know what to call that, but
It's
people do it.
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. People do it all the time, and in this
They do.
society this society we live in with this pop culture thing, you got people, the most influenced minds, which are the young people, are listening to people who have no idea what they're talking about. And I don't think a lot of these celebrities, especially when they first become celebrities, realize how many people they're actually affecting by their off the cuff statement. So it's like I remember Jeezy was on Breakfast Club. This was years ago, young Jeezy, and he said, Charlamagne said, "So Jeezy, just stop snitching thing. What if a grandma's coming home from church on a Sunday and she sees 2 people kill somebody right in front of her, and she calls the police to turn them in? And she's snitching?" He said, "Yep, she's snitching." And I'm thinking, like, you know how many young kids heard your dumb ass say that and gonna take that to heart? That an innocent old lady can't call the police on murderers in her neighborhood? Now this was '07 when he said this, so he eventually said that was some nonsense. But I'm saying people say this kind of stuff all the time, not like that, but they say things off the cuff, not realizing it's gonna ripple through a lot of people and affect them. So yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's up to her. It's her responsibility to check that. Either get the education on it or shut up.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's not. I hear what you're saying. I mean, when I first started out years ago, I started out as a hypnotherapist, and people would ask me questions that I wasn't qualified to answer. And what did I do? I went and got qualified to answer the questions.
Exactly. I mean,
it's your responsibility. You feel like they're asking you things that are out of your remit. You get educated so that you can answer those questions, or you stop what you're doing. You don't give people just off the cuff, just out of your brain advice based on absolutely nothing. What is this life? What are we doing here?
I agree with you. And
this is people's lives we're talking about.
And that's the thing that gets me is that that these people, I guess they're in their paper chase, or they're so they're so focused on themselves that they don't realize that the lives that they could be really very well ruining. I mean, especially when it comes to relationships, there it's there's
People
little
think
room for error.
exactly, and people think, well, I've had a relationship, so I can coach on it. It's like, what? What? Or I'm married, so I can coach on it. Just because you're married doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Just because you made it to the altar doesn't make you an expert.
Exactly. And there's many. I know of one security boss. She's basing her whole advice on the fact that she's married. That's it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Your personal experience can help inform something, right? But on its own, that's not the metric. No. It doesn't make you an expert on its
It can't be
own.
the only metric. It can't
Exactly,
be the only metric.
right? So I feel like I don't even know. Yeah, because she's got celebrity status is why they're asking her things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I see now what Raquel's problem is with her very clearly.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, you're teaching people how to be pick me so that they can be married, and that's it. Okay, great. That's lovely.
Ebony is the farthest thing from a pick me though. That's what the first thing that made her go viral over all of this stuff is what upset a lot of men. And I guess
I agree with you, Deontay, but the thing is but she's giving pick me advice.
Yeah,
by saying,
that's what.
By saying, "Oh, you better grab the first black man that comes across your radar in college."
Well, she was saying that about the ones who wanted to get married. So on the other hand,
yeah, but
what I'm saying is there were young women coming up to her and saying, "Ebony, I want to get married. I'm young, whatever." And she said, "You know what? Don't worry about that. Forget marriage. Damn all of that." Like, is that what she should have told them?
No, I don't. Here's the thing about the pick me thing. A lot of people just assume that if you want to get married, you're a pick me. That's not a pick me. You want to get married, you want to get married. That's your absolute right. You want to get married, you want to have kids, you want to have a husband. Absolute right. That's not a pick me. What she's teaching them to do is go by patriarchal standards of what a woman is so that they can get married. This is what I'm assuming she's doing, because what else could she be doing? Because she doesn't have any background on it. She's not teaching them about their self-esteem. She's not teaching them about selection. So this is pretty much the only option there is.
Yes,
and
I
in
do
that,
agree with
she's
that.
teaching them pick me behavior. In that.
She said that, and she's not the only one who says this, I'm talking about of women who understand there are always going to be a large section of successful men, especially black men, it don't matter what color, I think, who, if they are at a certain status, money-wise, financially, and they want to get married and have a family, they're going to want to have a traditional wife, and it's going to look like a straight up patriarchal situation. Doesn't mean that his wife is a slave or something like that. It just means that he would rather have a situation where I'm the provider, I'm the man, I'm bringing home the bacon, I got the house, I got everything taken care of. My wife, she takes care of the children, the house, basically takes care of my life, the family's life, and this is the way we live. And there are lots of people in that situation, and everybody's cool in that. It's just that most people are not going to be in that situation, though. So they just don't they don't even qualify to even deal with it.
Again, the traditional values thing is not the issue. The fact that she's telling them to fit into that box is the issue. She's putting them where they don't fit, which makes them pick me, which makes them behave like pick me's. Do you understand what I'm saying? Someone who's traditional, just falling into a traditional pattern with their man and their relationship and their husband and their child is not a pick me. That's what she wants. That's a tradition. But what she's teaching them to do is get into that box so they can get married. So now she's teaching them to be a pick me so they can get into that tradition. Do you understand what I mean? Because if they were naturally traditional, they wouldn't need her training, surely.
Oh, I know what you mean, and I'm just saying that the majority, like the type of men, see, this is the thing that happened with Kevin Samuels where it got off the rails too, because he was talking about a specific type of man, and that's what I believe she's talking about too. And these specific type of men, those are the type of women that they want. So if you are a woman and you don't want to be in that role, well, just don't do it. I mean, this is 2020, about 2024. Women have been saying for the last 20 years, hardcore, if I'm not into that, I'm just not going to do it. And there's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with
but
that.
you're missing my point. The fact that she teaches them how to do it means they are not it. You understand what I'm saying now? You don't have to teach someone how to be a traditional woman. If you're
Right.
why would you need to be taught
Yeah,
that?
I know what
Do you
you're
understand
saying.
what I'm saying?
I'm
It's
just saying
not
like
that.
she's just telling them what it is. It's nothing.
Yeah,
It's
but you
almost
wouldn't
like
need to be told if you were it.
if somebody is trying to qualify for a job or a position and they're told, well, you need to have at least 4 years experience of this and this degree, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't know that. If they really want it, then they'll go do it. They just didn't know what it took.
Okay, but that's a job. That's a different situation.
Yeah.
A job doesn't require you to be yourself. Okay, a
Yeah.
job requires you to
a
fill a
relationship, I'm
certain
saying,
role and get
yeah,
paid. That's a job. Comparing it to a job makes it even worse in my eyes.
a
Because
relationship.
the relationship requires you to bring yourself to the table. A job does not. It requires you to bring your qualifications, fulfill your role using those qualifications, and get paid. You can't compare the job circuit to the marriage circuit because you're going to leave yourself behind. And that's what she's teaching them to do, to leave themselves behind. Because if it was them, if it was truly them, they wouldn't need the training. Because why would you need the training to do stuff that you already know how to do?
Well, if that was the case, then people wouldn't need to go to premarital counseling, marriage counseling, period. They wouldn't need to have any type of couples therapy. They wouldn't need to have any type of, I mean, everything would just be.
No, okay, I hear what you're saying, and you do have a point. But having said that, they already had what it was in order to match in the first place. You're not to coach someone to match with someone else. Do you know how derailing and I can't find the words, how distorted that is? You can say that, oh, if that's the case, they wouldn't need marriage counseling, but they already matched. They already vetted each other and matched each other accordingly. And now they're going into therapy. You're not distorting yourself in order to match before you get there. That, to me, is something else. You're supposed to come as yourself in a relationship. And what you match with is what you match with.
That's very well said.
And if you want to match with something better, then you go work on yourself to match with something better.
That's all I'm saying. But see, that's basically what I mean, though, because
no, but she's not doing that because she's not a therapist. So all she's doing is giving them this cookie cutter. Here's the patriarchal thing, fit into this box. That's not the same thing as going and working on yourself.
I know.
That's not the same thing as going to a therapist because, you know what I mean? I got anger issues, or I can't express myself, or I've got some emotional blockage. That's working on yourself. What she's doing is telling them to wear a pink dress when they actually usually wear blue.
But she said it herself in this video that she said she's not the expert and she gladly would send them to her. So all she was giving was just baseline advice from what she saw. If I see somebody who is 300 pounds and he's saying, hey man, I don't know what to do to lose weight, I'm like, well, you should go to a nutritionist, and go to the gym. But I mean, first off, you eat pizza and drink milk drink pop every night. No, that's all I'm saying. I'm not a qualified nutritionist, but come on.
Deontay, sorry to interrupt, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, in my opinion.
It is.
Everything is.
Because no, what I'm saying is this, is that you telling somebody, well, you should go, to a fitness trainer or so on and so forth is not comparable to what Eboni K. Williams is saying. Because number one, remember now, she already has this, what do you want, like a relationship guru, earned or not, this relationship guru vibe going on for her because of her last comment about the relationship thing, which Angelina Van Zant irresponsibly brought up in the first place. But secondly, she should have been out. She shouldn't even have said what she said. If she really, really wanted to help everybody, she wouldn't have opened her mouth again when it came to a relationship.
Exactly.
That's the problem. That's what we're saying, is that now that she's in the mess, well, she's doing the best she can with the mess she made. But in my opinion, as soon as she got messy the first time, and she knew she didn't have the expertise, let's face it, she's no Dr. Raquel Martin. She doesn't have the expertise to do that, and that's why she's running people into a wall again.
Exactly. And it's her responsibility at that point to get the expertise or get out of the race.
Right.
It's like, you don't just, well, I'm just going to make it up. I'm just going to tell people what I think. Based on what?
Yeah, she basically says,
nonsense.
Hey, by her action, she's basically saying, hey, I'm the expert. And then when she gets under expertise heat, like the heat she's getting from Raquel in a very kind way, now she's like, oh, I'm not. That's not what I do anyway. And by that time, people are already halfway across the river asking for help. They're halfway. Wait, you're not a tour guide? You got me out here in the middle of the river? And that's what's going on. And that's the problem we have. We don't believe she's being mean. I don't believe Eboni's trying to be cruel. She's not trying to scam anybody. But the problem is that she needed to just be quiet. If she wanted to do this, she should grab some books for about 2 years, do her thing, and then come back out.
Exactly. It's like, okay, this has piqued the interest. Let me go and study up and get my knowledge so I can compare it to my own experience and other people. You got to get out, even outside of your own head. Like I said, your own experience isn't enough when you're guiding other people from many different walks of life and saying to them that you're an expert. I love your analogy about going halfway down the river.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but it's true.
It's like, that's why, look, I do a lot of fishing. I dabble around. I'm in the water a lot. But if there was I've never had to give people instructions on how to go across a river. I just haven't. So for me to say, oh, I'm an expert, I'll help you across the river, that's not fair. And that's exactly what Eboni is doing. Even if she's thinking she's not giving, if she's telling young ladies, oh, you should go to school and find your boyfriend, without talking about anything that has to do with vetting at all. She didn't say anything about vetting at all. So
very irresponsible. Yeah, it's very irresponsible. Nothing about self-esteem, nothing about anything like that. Just, here's the pink dress, wear it, men like this. What the hell? Here's your costume. Here's what you got to do.
Right. Be submissive. Here's your
pick-me outfit.
Right.
Put this on. Someone will marry
you. You got to be a doormat,
Right.
So, yeah, but that's where we're coming from. It's like, we don't believe she's doing this. She's trying to hurt anybody on purpose, but she's leaving people out to hang. That's whether she likes it or not.
Like I said earlier, it's not her fault that people come to her. People do, but it's her responsibility after that point to armor up, to get ready, to educate herself. That's her responsibility.
Exactly. So anyway, I think this is a good time to do a quick Q&A session if we have time. Anybody, if you have any questions, put them in caps. You can put them in caps, and let's give it about 30 seconds. If I don't see any questions, then we'll just go ahead. We did a great job today. Angelina, you were amazing. Deontay, you excellent questions. Excellent debate questions. Let's see what we have out there. Any questions out there? Put them in caps so we know that there are questions. for Angelina. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Well, let me put some else on. I know everybody wants to hear me sing, but that's going to cost extra. So let me go ahead and put a little bit of background music on. Okay. Here we go. Just for a minute while we wait. Possible, shameless plug. This is one of my tracks, everybody. Cyber Dream says she made them kings mad now. She mulling. Yep. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Cyber Dreams asked this. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit. Okay, why were Black mad at? I believe it's Black's mad at the first comment. Now they are on her side. So, Angelina, do you remember her first comment when she was saying that she didn't want to be, she didn't want a bus driver?
Yeah, I remember you saying about that. I mean, I think people were mad because she was telling them to raise standards. I think they were mad, not necessarily because they were telling her to raise standards, she was telling people to raise standards, but she was separating herself from people who were not on her level.
Right.
And clearly acknowledging that. People don't like that. So she got buried for that. Because how dare you say you're better than anybody else, even though, she's successful and has all these accolades and the bus driver does not. The bus driver wouldn't even know where to begin with that. Right? And her pointing that out made everybody mad because apparently as a woman, you're supposed to see every man as qualified. And if you don't, how dare you?
Right.
So that's why they got mad, because how dare you say that I'm not qualified, even though I've done nothing to be qualified at the level that you're at. When I heard the bus driver thing, I was like, well, yeah, obviously.
I mean, I don't get it because the thing is that
I agree with her.
She's a millionaire.
Exactly. What can a bus driver add there? And the thing, what can they add there? And she's also entrepreneurial, and the way that it is in this working and is night and day when it comes to mentality. Night and day.
Right.
Right. So with that in the equation as well, like, come on, that's a ridiculous statement to make. Like, but only people who have achieved a certain amount of success can see that clearly. I bet you all the successful people were not mad at her. It's all the unsuccessful people that were like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Because they don't see what they can't see. Right? Successful people can see it and they're like, well, obviously I wouldn't do that. And that's not because that person is intrinsically less than. It's just that the mindset and the things that they have to offer do not match.
Right. Okay, I think Alexander has a question. Alexander, what's the go ahead and type the question in caps and let's get down. Yeah, the thing is this, the funny thing is this. There is no other culture. See, they didn't get mad at any other culture except for Black women about the bus driver theory. There is not one culture of women who wouldn't agree with Eboni when it came to, not dating down. Do other cultures of women date down? If they do at all, it's very slightly, and for some reason, Black women are supposed to date down the most, more than anybody by tens of thousands of dollars in many instances. And that's the whole problem, is that really, quite honestly, it's a shame that they're putting Black women in that kind of a situation. You should know that, well, I just got to get my game up. As a Black man, you should just say, well, shoot, if I want to date a millionaire, I better become a millionaire my damn self.
Right.
You know, or if I want to date a lawyer, I better become a lawyer, or at least something in that level my damn self.
On that level, lawyer, doctor, whatever it is, on that level. So I can understand the mindset it takes to be in that position. I remember listening to the interview and being like, well, why is everyone upset? I'm confused.
Right. I mean, it actually the revolt over her comment made less sense than even the presumed controversy over her comment. Now,
yeah, but I think it's because a lot of the Black community in itself, a lot of them have, it's very, I don't want to say success blindness, but it is that. There are a lot of people who don't have the success, but want to be seen as though they do. Right? Whereas in other cultures, they're like, I'm not successful. Okay, that is it. I'm going to hold that out. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Whereas I think in the Black community, that's not allowed. It's like, no, you're just as good. You know just as much. There's a slight delusion that goes on there, right? It's like, you know just as much as that person, even though they're a doctor or a lawyer and have studied for years to know what they know. It's crazy. I think that is prevalent within the Black community that doesn't exist in, I won't say doesn't exist, that's a bit strong, but exists less in other cultures.
Exactly. Alexander Brandon says this: why is Ebony doing this when she knows that Black women are being unalived at an alarming rate?
She's not thinking about that.
Yeah, boom. Boom.
She doesn't know that they're being unalived at an alarming rate.
That's what makes her,
I would say.
Yeah, that's what makes her lack of expertise and
exactly. If she read a book, she'd know.
Right.
If she read and studied up on what she's saying, then she'd know more about it's the ignorance. She doesn't know the harm that she's doing, actually, because she doesn't know.
Exactly. She has no idea that's going on in the community. And she's not, again, and see, that's why it was so important that she should have said, first, you need to vet your partner, because I'm sorry, but there are, you know, just because a guy is studying to be a doctor in college doesn't mean he's not a sociopath. You got to vet the person first.
Of course. And I'm sure that she would do that if she knew how to do that.
Right.
You see, that's what I mean. Again, she doesn't have the skills, so she can't offer that aspect.
Exactly. Do we have any more questions? I'm going to count to 10. Any more questions? Put them in caps. All right. Angelina, this was a pleasure. Excellent information. Everybody, I need to make sure you go to her channel and like and subscribe. Let me make sure I get the link in the chat.
Yeah, I talk about all things around abuse, recovery, red flags of toxic and narcissistic and abusive dynamics, and also about trauma. This is for women. This channel's for women. I'm going to make it known now. So if there are any men out there, I'm sorry in advance. All right. I had someone
Right.
say to me today, why don't you talk about all things? Why are you just talking about this thing? It's like, because this is a channel for women.
Right.
Yes, this happens to men, but this is a channel for women. So my priority and focus is here. Right.
Right. They I mean, it's not your fault that they ran over to Kevin Samuels and it didn't work out.
Right. I don't know.
know?
I don't know what to tell you.
We can only help who we can help. That's what.
Right.
So, okay. Let me put this in here. So it's the LW Academy Hub. If you just want to reach her, at the LW Academy Hub is right there on the screen for you. Make sure you at the very least like and subscribe. But if you really truly want to work on yourself, if you want to heal, if you've been through something, you want to become a stronger person, I strongly recommend giving her a shout out, a message, a text, something.
And here's the thing, I work with trauma as well. So it's not just about abusive relationships. So if you've been through any kind of trauma, the channel will be useful to you in understanding yourself better.
Exactly that. I mean, basically,
and also not getting into an abusive relationship, because the chances of you getting into one after trauma are quite high. So there's that too.
Very true. Very true. I mean, unfortunately, it's just a pattern that a lot of us, get locked into, because for some reason, we get attracted to, let's just call it bad food, the wrong things in a person.
Yeah, but you don't know it's wrong if you've not only had wrong. Like childhood trauma, from any perspective, it doesn't even have to be physical abuse or verbal abuse. It could be any form of neglect, like maybe your parent was a single parent and wasn't around for you to nurture you emotionally in the household. That's a form of trauma. All of these things are trauma. Childhood trauma.
Wow, that's
conditions us to accept BS, basically. Growing up in,
that's a doggone good point. Maybe that's why these, philanderers or what, these people online are so attractive, because most of the people who go watch them are so used to this,
Exactly. In some form or other.
Even if they would have sat down and looked at the stats